No, because Michael Caine, you did the famous acting masterclasses. Yeah, I did. Yeah. It was in the 80s, wasn't it? Michael Caine disappeared for 7 days in 2022. No one knew where he was. His wife called him a lion, but she wouldn't say why. Then photos surfaced of him using a walking frame, struggling to get into cars. The truth was darker than anyone imagined. At 89, he had been hiding a condition that was crushing his nerves. The surgery was supposed to be routine, but something went wrong. By July 2025, fans got their first glimpse of what really happened. He was in a wheelchair, bandaged, being pushed by Vin Diesel. The man who once ruled Hollywood couldn't walk. Michael Caine was born as Maurice Joseph Micklewhite on March 14, 1933, right in the heart of one of London's roughest slums. The place was Rotherhithe in South London, where the air smelled of damp stone and old coal. His father worked at the fish market, earning just £2 a week hauling crates of seafood at Billingsgate. His mother cleaned other people's homes for pennies, coming back home with sore knees and scrub-bruised hands. Their entire family squeezed into a 2-room flat without a proper toilet or running water. They shared one with a dozen other families. Maurice didn't sleep on a bed. He slept on a pile of old coats. On days when food was short, which was most days, his mother didn't eat just so he and his brother could. Then the war came. It was 1939 and German bombs began raining down on the docks nearby. The nights lit up with fire and fear. His family fled to Norfolk, moving into the homes of strangers to survive. But survival came at a price. Between 1940 and 1945, young Maurice lived off wartime rations so small they sound unreal now. Just 2 ounces of butter, 4 ounces of bacon, 8 ounces of sugar. Not per day, per week for the whole family. His bones didn't stand a chance. He developed rickets, a disease that bent his legs and damaged his teeth. He walked with a noticeable sway that never went away, and later that very walk became part of what made him unforgettable on screen. By the time he was 8 years old, he only weighed 45 pounds. He was always in pain, always hungry, and the effects stayed with him for the rest of his life. In June 1948, at exactly 15 years and 3 months old, Maurice left school. He could have done well. He was bright, but his family needed money more than grades. His first job paid 10 shillings a week. He worked at a film company called Peak Films, starting out as a filing clerk, then becoming the tea boy. He poured tea for producers and executives, memorizing their conversations, watching actors during lunch breaks without making a sound. He snuck into bomb shelters not just to be safe, but because that's where they screened American films. That's where he fell in love with Gary Cooper and Humphrey Bogart. At night he practiced their voices in front of a cracked mirror, using a broken piece of glass like a movie star's vanity. When his mother found his stash of movie magazines hidden under the mattress, she scolded him for dreaming too big. But that didn't stop him. The moment he got his first paycheck, £2.10, he spent every penny on a single movie ticket to see the best years of our lives. That film became his religion. His last name, Micklewhite, held more weight than most people knew. His grandfather was Jewish, which meant Maurice was Jewish too, even if nobody spoke of it. In the 1950s, being openly Jewish in the acting world was dangerous. In Britain, casting directors were subtle but brutal. They rejected anyone with names that didn't sound properly English. Maurice got turned away 47 times. By early 1955, he was exhausted. One rainy evening, as he waited for a bus outside the Odeon in Leicester Square, he looked up and saw the words, "The Caine Mutiny," on the cinema sign. That was it. He chose the name on the spot. He legally became Michael Caine. It cost him £5 to make it official. His entire week's wages His father never lived to see what that name would become. He died later that same year before the world knew the name Michael Caine. The man behind it went to war. In November 1952, he was shipped off to fight in Korea with the Royal Fusiliers. What happened there scarred him forever. On March 7, 1953, during a patrol near Hill 355, his unit was ambushed. 12 men went out. 8 were gunned down instantly. Michael only survived because he tripped over barbed wire and fell into a ditch. He lay there for 6 hours freezing in 15 degrees cold, surrounded by bodies. When Chinese soldiers walked among them, checking for survivors, he didn't move. He didn't breathe. He pretended to be dead, covered in blood that wasn't his. That night changed everything. He nearly lost 3 toes to frostbite. But more than that, he lost any fear of death. That experience gave him what he later called his most powerful weapon, his calm. His Korean War medal became his most prized possession, more valuable to him than any Oscar. After returning home, he got a small uncredited part in a film called A Hill in Korea in 1956. The reason he was picked wasn't for acting but because he moved like a real soldier. He had lived it. But that didn't mean success came easy. Just weeks after filming, he forgot his lines. During a performance of The Seagull at the Richmond Theater, the stage manager screamed at him in front of 200 people, telling him he'd never work again. He was humiliated, frozen in place, barely able to speak. He spiraled into depression, took a construction job, carrying steel beams for £8 a week, and seriously considered quitting acting forever. In 1957, while performing at the Lowestoft Repertory Theater, he juggled 30 different roles in 25 weeks. One night during the importance of being earnest, he knocked over a stage lamp while reaching for a cucumber sandwich. The curtain caught fire and a wall of flames shot 15 feet high. The audience screamed, but Caine didn't run. He grabbed a fire extinguisher, put out the fire, and stayed completely in character, joking that the weather was a bit warm. Smoke filled the room. The fire brigade showed up 20 minutes later. Caine kept acting, even with a scorched costume and singed eyebrows. He was fined £10 for the damage, more than 2 weeks' pay. His name on paper was Michael Scott when he first joined the Actors Union in 1954, because someone else had already taken Michael White, but that name didn't stick. In 1964, everything changed for real. He was waiting for a phone call from his agent about a possible role in Zulu. Caught in a rainstorm near Leicester Square, he ducked into a phone booth. The phone rang, but an old woman answered first, asking for Michael Scott. Desperate not to lose the role, he blurted, "I'm Michael Caine." It was the name on a movie poster next to the booth. That accidental moment became permanent. He changed his name legally the very next day and signed the contract that would finally make him a star. Zulu was the moment everything changed. He played Lieutenant Gonville Brahmat. It was filmed in South Africa, with more than 4,000 Zulu extras. He was 31 years old and had to learn how to sound upper class to break away from his working class image. The film was based on the real Battle of Roars Drift in 1879 and had a massive $4 million budget, huge for a British film at the time. His screen test impressed producer Stanley Baker, and suddenly Michael Caine was a name people remembered. Then came the iPress file in 1965. This was the